Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you guys can see me okay, if you guys can hear me okay. I'm using my old microphone from like years ago when we were doing the podcast. So please let me know if everything is okay here. I can see you guys all in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. This is the live office hours for the School of Sweet Georgia. My name is Felicia, and I'm the founder of Sweet Georgia and the School of Sweet Georgia. And we come here every month on the last Thursday of every month to chat about things that have been going on inside the school, behind the scenes, what's coming up. It's kind of like an update meeting of all sorts. And so I really appreciate you guys being here today. Now, today is going to be very, very different from any other live office hours that you've ever attended before if you've been coming. Now, in the past, we've done things like, do a lot of show and tell. We share things that the members have been making inside the school. I will very often do a look at all of the courses that have recently been launched and look at the courses that are coming up. We talk about the study groups that are going on and all of these kinds of things. And today is going to be very, very different because today I wanted to go over some of the survey results that have come back from our recent member survey. So I wanted to thank you all for completing that survey if you did, but it was very, very instructive for us as a team for the School of Sweet Georgia, trying to figure out what we can do to help improve the school, make improvements, make changes, all of these kinds of things to help create a better experience for everybody inside the school. And so the survey was very, very enlightening. Actually, it was great to be able to do, and it really helped me recognize how incredibly special of a community we have created here. This is an incredibly amazing group of people, and I wanted to share with you some of the things that we found in that survey and some of the decisions that we've made to change the school because of the results of the survey. It was great. The survey showed that many, many people, most of the people who responded to the survey, have been with the school for more than a year. And so it is wonderful to be able to see people coming back year after year and having this really long term presence in the community and building something. We're growing something here that's like over a long term. So, all of this stuff, I'm very, very excited about. So, I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that are going on. So here we're going to do this. These are the things that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to share with you the survey results for a little bit, and then also what the struggles have been, what our strategy is going to be moving forward, and then also what we're doing with the content side of things, like the courses, what are we building, what are we going to learn about, all of these kinds of things, and then also the changes to the website. And so today, what I'm going to do is also do a little bit of a walk around and show and tell inside the school because some things have been moved around and I want to make sure that everybody knows where everything is. And so that's very, very important as well. And the event plan, sort of what are we going to do moving forward with the kinds of meetings that we have, how are we going to structure meetings, all of that, and then also behind the scenes of what we have actually been filming inside the school. So very, very excited about all of these things. So the first thing is here are some of the top level member survey results. So it shows that 97% of all of members are knitters. And I think that that was probably pretty obvious from the very beginning. It's just that everybody who comes here knows how to knit. Everybody who comes here knows how to knit at actually quite a high level. Most people indicated that they were like advanced level, intermediate, advanced knitters. Um, and then 86%, which is very, very high, 86% of our membership is spinners, and 85% are crocheters, which I found actually very surprising. I didn't know that there were so many crocheters among us. And they all indicated that they were also very sort of high level crocheters. 73% are dyers, 62% are weavers, and 30% are tapestry weavers. And so many people were saying that their favorite or their preferred craft was knitting, but actually a huge percentage of people were saying that their preferred craft was all of the above. And so that I feel like is the key. It is the key of our entire community here is that we are these multi-craftual people who love more than one craft, who are involved in taking our knitting and then wanting to spin yarn and then knit with that yarn, or take the hand spun yarn and weave with it, or take something that you've dyed or work from fleece, like all of these aspects of the fiber arts are interesting to our membership. So that is very, very exciting. And the other things about the members are that members came for one set of classes. Maybe members came for knitting classes, or maybe they came for spinning classes. But then they also started other crafts in because of the school. So they came in for one thing, and then they ended up exploring a whole different area of the fiber arts because of the availability of all the classes. And so that is very, very exciting to see. In terms of our course catalog, the kinds of things that we do need to add more of in our library of courses includes things like more courses for weaving. We've started from the very beginning, fundamentals of how to dress your loom, how to wind a warp, how to read a weaving draft, a couple of these very basic fundamental things. But from there, now that we know how to work a loom, what do we do next? Well, we can weave some twill, we can weave some color. What are we going to do next? Well, maybe we can learn to weave overshot, maybe we can learn to weave double weave, we're going to learn to weave crackle, we're going to learn to weave a whole bunch of other things because we have these fundamental pieces already in place. And then same, people would like to see more knitting classes, but because majority of the people who have come to the school are already very good knitters, people want to see more advanced knitting classes. And then, of course, there's design classes. Everybody wants to learn how to design, and more color theory classes as well. There was a whole bunch of ideas that people contributed as well about other course ideas, like other topics that we could cover. And one of them was about mending. So mending came up several times. Visible mending, just decorative mending's come up quite a bit. Needle felting, we have done some needle felting, but not needle felting like little animals or little cute things and stuff like that. So needle felting came up a couple of times. Embroidery came up quite often. And then more crochet, like specifically amigurumi, came up. And then there was a great number of people who wanted to be able to do things like take their hand woven cloth and then weave that into garments. And so then there's a whole bunch of questions around like, well, what makes a good cloth for weaving, for sewing, what's going to stand up for whatever purpose you have for your garment? Like, is it going to sag? Is it going to drape? Is it going to, there's lots and lots of things to talk about with that aspect of it. Um, so we may not go into the actual sewing of it because sewing is a whole other field of learning, but sewing garments is one other thing. But preparing the fabric that you could make into a sewn garment is something that we can definitely cover. And then things like inkle loom weaving, card weaving, tablet weaving, those kinds of things came up several times as well. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I can see that in the comments here about like I came for knitting and then stayed for spinning. And yeah, so you come in for one thing and then you end up learning something completely different. And yeah, I said 97% of people were knitters. Not every single person is a knitter, but many people who came already have had at least some exposure to working with yarn in that way. Um, Other very interesting things that we discovered is that the majority of members want to have courses that have a project to make at the end of the day. So initially, when we were making some of these weaving classes, like I was making the essential, I think it's essential weaving. And so a lot of that stuff was theoretical. A lot of that is like best practices for handling your shuttle, best practices for winding your warp, those kinds of things, but they weren't necessarily project driven. And so it's interesting to see that so many people want to have projects to make at the end of the day. And so this is like a different way that we can look at how we create content for the school as well. So I think a lot moving forward is going to be around this idea of creating projects and then using the projects to then teach the techniques that go along with those projects. So we'll talk more about that as well. So not just theory, but definitely projects, things to make at the end of the day. And it was very surprising that 85% of people said that they wanted to learn to design their own projects. So it wasn't necessary, like I feel like this is actually very unique maybe to this community, is that it's not necessarily about like picking a pattern and then making a thing, but it's about understanding the fundamentals of how that that pattern was made, how that project was made, and then being able to like riff off of that or improvise or use that knowledge and apply it in a really interesting way to design your own thing that's custom for you. I think that aspect of it is actually very, very exciting. And I think we are all in on that idea. Yes, um, definitely. So, where's my next slide? So, then we talked about what are things that people left in the comments for us that are the most challenging things. And the struggles became very obvious looking at the comments that people left, the feedback that people left in the survey. It came back time and time again that everyone's number one problem, number one issue is not having enough time. There's not enough time in the day to do all of the crafts that you want to do. It's hard to prioritize the different crafts you want to do. There's never enough time. Having to sort of like, my Taking Back Friday videos are all about carving back time, taking time away from other things, prioritizing your making time. And it's so hard. It's so hard. And sometimes when there are new projects that come along, new courses that launch, new make-alongs that happen, it's very difficult to join in because you feel like you don't have enough time. And then if you do join, and then you don't feel like you have enough time to keep up, or you can't keep up, like keep up, we always say don't worry about keeping up, but everyone has this personal pressure, this self-applied pressure to keep up. And so when you can't keep up, then you feel frustrated, then you feel like disappointed in yourself. And then it just becomes a really negative experience, which is not at all what we're trying to do. We want to create a beautiful, wonderful, joyful learning experience. But I think that having things that are time bound or constrained by time or have time windows is extremely challenging for people and frustrating. And that's something that we have to really look at and contend with. So that's a big, big struggle for people. The other struggle is the long term commitment that it takes to make a lot of the things that we make. When I think about how right now we're doing this working from fleece study group that's been happening, and this is literally taking raw fiber from an animal and then washing it and then like cleaning each little lock of it, combing it, preparing it into a format that then can be spun into yarn, that then can be knit into a fabric or woven into a cloth and then made into something else. This whole process of just working with from a fleece to a finished object could take a year or more. Like it could take a long, long time. And I think of the fiber arts as this marathon. A lot of the things that we're trying to create are a marathon. And I don't know if you have ever run a marathon. I've only managed to run a half marathon. But when I run a half marathon, it's quite lonely because nobody is running with me. I cannot keep pace with the other people who run the half marathon. So I'm just doing my thing, and my goal is just to finish. It's not to like get any particular time or anything like that, or even to keep up with other people. My goal is just to finish and not get injured at the end of the day. And so I feel really strongly that the fiber arts is very much like this marathon as well. And we should help each other make it to the finish line. Making it to the finish line is very challenging. So even with something like a 4-week study group or a 6-week study group, even making it to the end of that 6 weeks can be challenging. So this is something, again, a big struggle that we want to be able to help the members out with. And then finally, this came up a number of times, which I thought was actually very, very interesting. And this is the idea that we're all here together and we want to connect, but we're very nervous about connecting with each other. There is a lot of just like real social anxiety, or there is, yeah, just being nervous, being shy, being a little bit intimidated about coming into a conversation with other people online, either in the forums or in a Zoom room, in a chat room. All of these kinds of things can be a little bit yeah, just cause a little bit of anxiety and make people a little bit nervous about joining in the conversation. And so, especially if you've come and you're just at the very beginning of learning how to do any particular craft and you don't feel like you know what to say about it, or you don't want to say anything silly, or so then you just don't say anything at all. And so there's a lot of that kind of sentiment. And so that's something that we definitely should also help work through as well. We want to make sure that you know that this is a very warm group of people. If you have looked in the forums and just read through conversations in the forums, I feel very strongly that everybody's been very supportive, very encouraging, very welcoming. We do have also Vicky and Robin, who are our SOS moderators, and they're in the forums every day, also being your cheerleaders, also providing support and hopefully pointing out resources and things like that. So hopefully, if you come to one of these events, come to a Zoom call, hang out in the forums a little bit and just observe and see what's going on. Hopefully you'll see that everybody's quite nice and welcoming. Vicky and I also do a welcome meeting once a month. And near the beginning of the month, we do a Zoom call, and it's a very casual call where I do like an orientation around the website, and Vicky does an orientation around the community forums. But again, that is to really just bring you in and might be your first introduction to any of us. But that is there for anybody. Even if you've been a member for a while, you can come to a welcome meeting and hang out with me and Vicky. No problem. So those are the three biggest struggles that I came across when we were going through the survey results. And so out of this, we've had a lot of conversations about what to do, how we can help, how can help change things inside the school to make it easier for everybody. And so this is kind of where we want to go. I mean, ultimately, the goal of the school is to really give people skills, tools, and the ability to have a lot of independent thinking and creative freedom around their work. So you want to be able to learn these skills, these fundamentals, and be able to translate them into things where you have confidence and you can trust yourself. You can design your own projects. You know where to go. And so this is very much like foundationally what we want to try to create for everyone. So these are the kinds of things that we want to focus on moving forward. So the first thing, and we talk about this in our welcome meeting, we talk about this in our orientation as well. The first thing that we ask everybody to do is to look at what are your goals as you come here. And your goals may change like a month into the school. You came for knitting, and then all of a sudden you've been attracted by all the spinning classes and you want to learn how to spin. Your goals may change and shift and evolve, and that's totally fine. But I think it really does help to have a pause, have a think about it, and think about what it is you want to learn, what it is you want to do. So that you can kind of like focus your attention in one particular area and learn all about the stuff in that area before you move on to something else. So my personal making goals may look extremely different from your personal making goals. Like I have goals right now working on this Guild of Canadian Weavers Master's program. So I am learning things like overshot and crackle and summer and winter and M's and O's and how to weave yardage, because that's the stuff that I'm working on. That may or may not be anything that you're interested in. But I feel like it kind of doesn't matter because we're all making things and we're all on this process of learning. And it's like, again, that idea of the half marathon where I'm running my own race. I'm running my own thing. I'm going at my own pace and I'm doing the things that I need to do and I need to focus on. Everybody else is also doing it. We're doing it together. The energy that you feel when you run in a race with everyone else is amazing. It keeps you going, but I'm still concentrating on the things that I'm working on. And so I encourage everyone to do the same too. Find the things that you want to create, the goals that you have, and then go from there. And so this is something that we're going to revisit in January when we talk about goal setting and planning for the year. We have these courses already. There's one called the Epic Cloth class, and then there's a Make Nine, Plan Your Make Nine with Tabitha. And these are both classes that help you sort of look at all of the different things that you might want to make and how do you focus in on where you go from there. How do you break it down step by step into achieving all of the things that you want to achieve? So that's one of the things we want to focus on. The next thing is also focusing on time and space. So again, time was the biggest challenge for everybody. And so this is something that we're going to want to work around next year, is this idea of how can we help you with the time aspect of it? Is it making projects that are quicker and easier to make, smaller, narrower warps, smaller projects, things that can help you feel like you have achieved the finished goal, like the object or the finish line, to get you to the finish line? How do we get you to the finish line a little bit easier, a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently? So there's the time aspect of it, and then there is also kind of like the organization of space and materials. I think Kim McKenna, one of our spinning teachers, she mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when we met with her, and she was because she said it is very challenging when you knit and then you also spin and then you also weave and you also dye. Like, you have so many pieces of equipment for all of these different crafts, and where are they all going to go, and how are you going to store them, how are you going to access them efficiently? Because it's one thing to have accumulated all of the gear that maybe you need for spinning or weaving or knitting or whatever. But if you've stored it all away and you can't access any of it, that's not very helpful. If it's all over the place and you can't find anything, that's also not very helpful. So I think that we are going to talk more about sort of like space, organization of materials, how to set up your craft room, a lot of those kinds of bits and pieces of information I feel like could be very helpful. And it doesn't necessarily all need to be from my point of view. We have many people who are instructors who all have their own personal craft spaces and workspaces. And I think it would be very interesting to hear from everybody how they set up their space. So that's something that we want to talk about as well. And application. So this is a huge thing that we have been talking about. Rachel Smith, who you also know is one of our spinning instructors, she's also doing a ton of weaving right now, and we've been talking a lot about weaving and about how you learn all these little techniques and you learn all these little weave structures, and then you're like, well, now what? I I know how to weave lace. Great. Now what? And so there needs to be that next step where you take the things that you've learned and then you apply it in a way where you make it your own, where you know you can trust your knowledge because you've created something out of the things that you've learned. So if you've learned a weave structure, now to be able to go and design your own project, that is huge, because then you're synthesizing your knowledge, you're synthesizing and you're creating something new out of something that you already know. So application, I think, is going to be really important. um, yeah, being able to design your own projects, that's something that we want to do. So let me know if you guys think that these are the things that we should be focusing on next year. These are the things that we've been talking about. So focusing on helping you with your goals, helping you get to that finish line, helping you with your time and your space, so that way when you do work on things, you have that ability to work efficiently, and to be able to, again, more easily get to that finish line. And again, this idea of being able to design your own things, really being able to own your knowledge. When you've learned the weave structure, you've learned the knitting technique, like, you know how to do it now because of the thing that you've created, not because you followed step by step by step, but because you've created something out of learning something from that step by step instruction. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to talk about for content wise, what we're working on. We as instructors, we are very much learning, we're active learners as well, and I feel like lifelong learners. If you talk to any of the instructors in the school, no matter how long they've been weaving for, or how long they've been spinning or knitting or teaching for, they come, and when they film with Greta and I and Kathy and Leah, like, they tell us over and over again, like, I'm still learning. Kim McKenna has told us before, she's like, the spinner that I am now is not the spinner that I was 3 years ago. And that is constantly moving. So we're constantly learning. And I feel like because we're constantly learning, the benefit of that is that all of our knowledge, our experiences is very fresh. And so we're translating that to you in a very fresh way. Because you're going to experience that as well. Like, you're going to experience the challenge of blah, blah, blah. And we've experienced that challenge and it's fresh in our minds. And we can tell you, oh, this is how I dealt with the thing that I just experienced that was really hard. So I feel like that part of it is really great. So the content that we're going to be working on for the coming years is really going to be building on the knowledge that we already have. So people are coming with a lot of knitting skills, maybe some crochet skills. And so we're going to build on top of that. We've built this foundation of understanding the fundamentals of weaving, and now we want to go on and then use those fundamentals. You know how to dress your loom, you know how to wind a warp, you know how to do all these things. Now we're going to go and weave different kinds of cloth, different kinds of weave structures, different application of color, lots of things that we can do from here. Um, so, what we're going to do is with the study groups, we are going to reconfigure them. Study groups were a way of us really encouraging everybody to take action on the things that have been taught inside the school. So, it's not enough to just say, oh, here's a class about weaving twills. Let's do it now. Let's do it together. I will wait for you while you wind your warp, and then we'll talk about like what experiences did you have while you were weaving that twill gamp. So there was a little bit of like wanting to make everybody take action. So let's all get out our dye pots. Let's do this together. So there's that feeling. But again, going back to that time struggle, lots of people said it was very easy to start a study group, but it's very difficult to finish a study group. Like I couldn't get to the end. I couldn't do all of the examples. I couldn't keep up week by week. And so what I've decided to do is kind of reconfigure the study groups into study guides. So the ones that we have created so far, we're going to sort of like work on the semantics of it, but really look at them as study guides. They're not time bound. They're really just ways that we have broken things down step by step, and encouraging you to look at different courses, multiple courses, in order to learn one specific topic. So if it was like about weaving twills, weaving that twill gamp, there is my weaving course. There's also Laura Fry's course on how to dress your loom, how to weave more efficiently, how to wet finish your cloth. Like you need information from a number of different courses to do this thing. And so those guides have that information all broken out really nice and clearly. So you just work through those step by step. But again, removing that time bound nature of the study groups hopefully will really, really help everyone feel more at peace about all of it. And like you can still find people who are working on all of these projects inside the community forums. That's why we're there. That's why we're there, is just to encourage and support you as you work on your project. But yeah, definitely encouraging you guys to go look at the study guides. They are great resources and they have everything broken down super beautifully into chunks of knowledge that are more easily digestible. So yeah, definitely look for those. The other thing is that the courses, what we're going to try to do next year, starting next year, is that we want to put out the materials information about a month prior to the courses. So again, everybody was saying they want projects, they want maybe some kits to go with the projects, but we're going to release all that information about the materials that are needed for the course about a month ahead of time. So that you can have like an idea of what's coming. You maybe gather your materials if you want to participate. And then when the course actually launches, then you can kind of like look at the course content, work through the course content, and then about a month or so after each of the course launches, we're going to do a Zoom-based Q&A with the instructor. And so this will give you an opportunity to kind of check in with the instructor, ask tons of questions. When we did this with like natural dyeing study group, when we did with this with a bunch of different study groups, lots of people have lots of questions. And some people like to ask questions in the discussion forums, but other people like to come on a Zoom call and ask their questions with the instructor directly. So that's another way of doing it. So we're going to try this method. So a month beforehand, we'll talk about the materials, then we'll launch the course, and then a month afterwards, we'll do a live Q&A Zoom call with the instructor. And then in terms of specific content, what we're going to look at is building on the knowledge that you already have in the weaving side of things. So we're going to present more weaving content. People have been asking for more knitting content. And so we are going to continue on with more knitting stuff. And specifically, people are interested in knitwear design, being able to design your own. So we're going to talk a lot more about that next year. And also, Tabitha promised us that she would do a 2 at a time sock class. So because that was highly asked for on the YouTube channel. So 2 at a time socks, and so she's going to do that. Um, yeah, Michaela's asking, I hope you don't lose focus on the beginner groups while moving forward. Absolutely. I think that encourage new people to come to SOS to be a beginner in comfortable. Absolutely. So I think that we do support beginners. We have a goal to be able to encourage and support people at all different levels. So that's why we started with the creation of fundamental beginner sort of fundamental classes, and people still come in and are learning their very first hand spinning from us. They are spinning their very first yarn with us. And this is something that in regular live office hours, I've always been sharing people's work, show and tell. And I always share everybody's first hand spun, because I think that that is so, so critically important. Even for me, like I felt like my learning spinning unlocked the doors to all of the fiber arts. Just seeing fiber get twisted into yarn was just the most magical thing. And I hope that that magic exists for everybody. And so that's something that we definitely want to celebrate. So beginners are always welcome. We have content for beginners, and we are here to absolutely support beginners in any level of their learning. So we just want to be able to provide places for beginners to go once they feel like they've mastered this first chunk. What do I do next? What can I learn next? And so it's always just kind of like building and building and building. Fantastic. The next thing is the website plan. And I'm going to try and do a little bit of a walk around the website with you as well without getting too distracted. But the idea is that with the website, we do want to make a couple of changes to make things a little bit more clear, to make the navigation more clear, and to make sure that it's very, very comprehensive so that you can find everything that you need from wherever you are at. I think that in some cases we've been very focused on building a lot of the content and then putting the content in the website. But I think making it really clear how to get to all the things that you need to get to in the website is one of the things that we want to help with. So one of the first things is that I have been trying to make changes to the dashboard. So when you come and you log into your website, and you go under your avatar, there's a dashboard link. I'm going to show you this in a second. You go to that page. I want that page to be sort of the hub of all of the things that you begin with when you come to the school. So that will give you links to the community. What are we talking about in the community this month? What is the theme and what's the focus that we're going to work on this month? Like October is obviously all about socks and October and spinning fiber. And so that has been a focus. But what is November going to be about? And what is December going to be about? What's January going to be about? So there's that aspect of it. There's another aspect, which I don't know if you guys have seen, you may have seen, is that we made some very significant changes to the courses and how courses are accessed from your account. And so basically, rather than putting every single person in every single course, we're giving you the option to select which courses you take. And then those will show up in your My Courses list. So rather than, because right now we have 83 courses, maybe you don't want to see all 83 courses at a time. Maybe you only want to see the 3 classes that you're looking at or that you're taking right now. And so selecting which courses you're actually going to enroll yourself into, I think, is very important. But it's made for a couple of technical hiccups, so I'll share those with you in a bit. And then we also want to next year, hopefully by the end of this year, have an example of what we're trying to create, but we want to create a space where members can post their finished projects. So if you say took the eco printing class and then you made something that was eco printed and you want to share that, I want to create a space where you can post your photo of your eco printed thing and then link it to the class, and then everybody else will be able to see all of the things that you created from your eco printed class. I know that we are doing a lot of things like on Instagram right now, but I would really, really like to move away from just relying so heavily on another platform like Instagram, and then just having everything within the school. So having our member galleries, having member project database inside the school is something that we really would like to see happen. So that's that. And then this other very, very key and important thing is that uh, we used to have a mobile app for iOS and Android. We used to have that. And then we discontinued it. There's lots of reasons. We discontinued it And so it's no longer available to download from the App Store for the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. However, if you still have it on your mobile device, I think people have still been trying to use it. So I'm wanting to remind everybody that the app is not there anymore. We're not using the app anymore. There was a lot of reasons. We were working with the development team on trying to build out the mobile app, and the direction of the mobile app was too different from the direction of the website. And so the website itself has a certain user interface and appearance. And then the mobile app, the developers were moving it in a different direction. And it looked too visually different from the website. And it was causing a lot of confusion. And there was just like features were not the same in both instances. And so we didn't want to have these two completely separate things going on. And so we decided to discontinue the mobile app. So if you have it on your device, you can just delete it now, because I don't even think it connects to the website anymore. And so just use the website, and the website is designed to be mobile friendly. So it should work perfectly fine on any mobile device. So if you have any questions about that, please do feel free to email me about that and we can talk about that. But just to let you know, mobile app is not there anymore. Okay. So that is good. Now, I want to share with you guys, let's look a little bit at the website. So I wanted to tell you about firstly, the navigation. So we are kind of cleaning up things, and this is not 100% the final thing, but I started to move things into categories that hopefully make a little bit more sense. So under the Learn tab now is all of the courses. So you can see all the courses, and all the different categories are here. And then if you want to see all courses, that's that. We're going to move the study groups here. Study groups are going to be renamed study guides. We have created this new thing that is called learning paths, and this has always kind of been in the background, and we've been trying to make this, but this is hopefully another way that can help you get to the place where you need to go. So I'm going to show you that in a second as well. So learning paths. Tutorials have been moved under Learn because that makes sense. Articles, if you haven't gone in and read any of these lately, there are some really nice articles being written by members of the community, by our moderators, by instructors. And so these are being posted in the article section here. And then also our resources. So I think a number of people in the survey were also wondering what the discount was. And so we do have a discount that is available to all SOS members to get 15% off any yarn, fiber, supplies, things that you want to get. You can use a specific coupon code designed for the SOS members. You can use that in the SweetGeorgia website. And so that is available under resources. We have a number of other sort of discounts and things like that in the resources section as well. So people were asking in the survey, what is this discount? I've never heard of the discount. We have a discount available to all SOS members. So that's there. And then finally, this is the content roadmap. So the content roadmap shows you what we have recently launched, what is about to launch, and what we have planned and what is in production right now. So if you are ever curious about sort of what our schedule is, what our release schedule is going to be, the content roadmap will show you all of that information. Under the create section, I've just moved the patterns. So we have an entire full pattern library under here. So this is where you can come in and all SOS members can download all of these patterns for free. Some of these patterns were originally paid patterns from our SweetGeorgia side. Some of them, like these ones, are specifically designed by Holly Yo for the course that she taught on finishing here. We have weaving projects in here, all the weaving drafts, everything here is available for members to download. So that is all available. So under this create tab, eventually we're going to put the little projects tab, and that's where all the member projects will go, and that's where we're wanting to see everyone's projects. So that's going to come soon too. But under here, I'll just quickly tab through here. Under Learn, these are our study groups. They will be renamed study guides, but you can see these are the kinds of things that we've been working on. Under the learning paths, this is something that I'm hoping will help you. So if you came here and you want to say, learn how to spin, where do you even begin? Because if you just go to the courses and you go under spinning, I think we have something like 20 different spinning classes. I can't remember exactly, but we have many, many spinning classes, and it can be very overwhelming and you just don't know where to start. So, part of creating these learning paths is to give you a guided tour through all of the courses. So, where do you start? Well, you start with the spinning from scratch course, and then you go to the spinning with suspended spindles class, and then you might want to go to the supported spindles class, and then you might want to go up and up and up and up. And so, this is how you kind of progress through the various classes. And we're hoping to build on your knowledge. So you learn this part first, and then you learn the next part, and then you learn the next part. And so this is kind of how we've started to build things out. So again, if you came and you wanted to learn how to weave, well, which class do you take first? Well, we recommend the essential weaving class and then the multi-shaft weaving basics class. But this is if you want to weave with a multi-shaft loom. If you wanted to start with a rigid head loom, you can start here. So we have a whole line of things that you can do if you want to learn to weave specifically with a rigid head loom. So that is a little bit of the cleaning up of the website. The other thing that I wanted to share with you guys was, oh yes, the dashboard. So under here, if you click on your little avatar here and then you click on dashboard, this is where we're wanting everybody to look every time you come to the website. So this is kind of like the hub. This is going to be with the theme. We have this, which was something that people requested as well, which is the ability to pick up where you last left off. So this, clicking this link will send you back to the lesson that you last looked at. So if, say, I looked at my knitting class, maybe I was looking at heels and toes variations, and maybe I was looking at the 4-toe variations. If this was the last class that I looked at, and then I go back to my dashboard, I should be able to see that that was the last class that I looked at, 4-toe variations. And if I click here, then it will send me back to the lesson that I was last on. So hopefully that will help as well. And then the last thing is that, again, this idea of my classes. So you can see here, if we look at courses, there's 83 courses in our library, but right now I am just enrolled in 18 of those courses. So these are the ones that are under my courses. You can also kind of see if I go to all courses here, there's 83 courses, but my courses, I only have 18 courses. And so you can see that these courses with the yellow where it says all access, these are available for me to join. The ones that I have already joined say start course, and then the ones that I've completed say complete. So let's just say I want to join spinning with supported spindles. If I click on that one, I click the big pink button that says take this course. If you don't, you'll notice that all of these things look like you're locked out. And this is not because you don't actually have access, because all access members have access to everything. You just have to click the pink button that says take this class. So once you click that, then everything is unlocked for you, and then you'll be able to jump in. Okay, so hopefully this will become more clear. But if you have been taking classes and you have progress in any of these classes, and it shows that you're not in that class, if you click the big pink button that says take this class, you will get added to the class and all of your progress has been saved. So any lesson that you've completed will still look like you've completed it, but you'll just have to go through each of the classes that you want and then click take this course. So I tried to find a way that I could automatically add people back to the courses that they had progress in, but there's no way to do that. So you're going to just have to click that little button that says take this course. So that is that. I think I showed you everything, right? I think so. Yes, my courses, dashboard, everything here. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is the events. And so, just a reminder for everybody about the different kinds of events that we have going on. We have this live office hours, which happens at the end of every month, the last Thursday of every month. Originally, it was meant to be a Q&A. That's why it's live office hours. I'm supposed to answer questions, but people never sent any questions because everyone was asking their questions in the community forums. So because people weren't asking questions, then I would kind of like do a show and tell and show and share about things that people have posted inside the member, um, inside the forums. Um, but it's kind of evolved a little bit into behind the scenes kind of state of the union, telling you what's happening with the school, that sort of thing. So that's what this is today. We also have regular meetups that happen throughout the month. So we have some that I think happen on Mondays with Robin. Mondays with Robin. There's a Saturdays with Vicky. And you can come and bring your project and hang out and have a chat. And these are meant to be very social get-togethers where you come and just share what you're working on and chat and all that kind of stuff. Then we also have live lectures. And right now, our live lectures are being done by Laura Fry. She's a master weaver here in BC. And she comes every other month to talk about weaving. So she presents weaving lectures. But we have had other lectures in the past before as well about tapestry, about spinning, about a number of different things. And so we may bring on other instructors in the future to also do other kinds of live lectures as well over Zoom. So those Zoom presentations are recorded and then they are also included inside the school. And then we are going to work on this idea of the live Q&As post the course launch. I'm going to do one pre-course launch for the double weave class, but there's also going to be post-course launch. So about a month after each course launches, we'll have this kind of a Zoom meetup, and then the course instructors can help answer any questions that you might have. So that is what is happening. So this next slide I want to share with you guys, these are the courses that are going to be coming out over the next several months. So it's November, December, January, February, March. So the next 5 months, we actually have 9 classes coming. And so in these 9 classes, you can see that the next one that we have is a live lecture with Laura Fry. She's going to talk about drafts and drafting. I feel like this one should be um, must see TV. It's like, I really want you to watch this one. So, drafts and drafting, learning about how to read a weaving draft, how does a weaving draft work, different ways of looking at weaving drafts. Very, very important lecture I think that you should attend. So, that one is with Laura Fry. And then after that, we have a course with Charlotte where she's going to teach about crochet shaping, so how to make increases and decreases. So this is like the follow-up to her previous class about crochet basics, about how to work a single crochet, how to work a half double crochet, how to work a double crochet, all of those things. Now, rather than making rectangles, now you can make shapes. And then she's going to follow up with another class in January about crochet joins. So as part of this increase decrease class, she's making motifs. And then in the next crochet class, again, like scaffolding your knowledge and building on the thing that you just learned, she's going to take those pieces and she's going to join them together and make other things. So this could be like joining granny squares, it could be joining shapes, it could be joining whatever you want to do, but this is all crochet stuff. Also in January, like I said, every other month, Laura comes and she does this lecture. The next one is going to be Form Follows Function. And so this is, again, giving you a lot of information about uh, sort of fundamental knowledge around designing, like thinking about what is the purpose of what you're making? What does the fabric need to be like in order to fulfill that purpose? So those are the kinds of conversations that we're going to be having. The next weaving class that's coming up is a lace pickup class on rigid heddle loom with Amanda Wood. So Amanda Wood, fantastic weaver. You will see a number of her rigid heddle classes in the school already, but this one is really interesting because it's using a pickup stick either in front of the heddle or in front of the reed or behind the reed to create different kinds of sheds rather than just a plain weave shed. And then you can do all sorts of things with your rigid heddle loom. So it's very much, I feel like it was an eye-opening class because it's learning how to use your rigid heddle in a way that doesn't make just plain weave. It makes tons of things, makes texture, makes beautiful, beautiful projects. So lace pickup, I hope you guys check that one out. And then my double weave class will finally come out. Yay! We've been working on this double weave class for so long, and very, very excited to finally have that come out. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then we have the first of a number of modules from Rachel Smith about spinning luxury fibers. So Rachel has come to us before. She's taught spinning with us, spinning sheep breeds, where she specifically looked at, different kinds of wool: long wool, short wool, fine wool, medium wool, primitive wools, just a whole bunch of different classes of fibers. And now she's doing the same with the luxury fibers. And so she's going to come, she's going to talk about silk. She's going to talk about camelids like yak, and she's going to talk about cashmere. She's going to talk about spinning a whole bunch of different kinds of luxury fibers. But again, we've broken this up into chunks so that way you don't have to digest everything all at once. So the first one will be about spinning silk and different kinds of silk. I hope you guys really like that. I feel like as we, again, build on the knowledge that we currently have and moving forward, we've been doing lots of like spinning with wool. We've been weaving with wool, weaving with cotton. But then the next steps are things like weaving with silk. What does that look like? What does weaving with cashmere look like? What does all that look like as we develop a little bit more confidence around using these fibers? What does this all look like? And then, very, very excited that we have Leah Learns Design. The final episode of Leah Learns Design was recently filmed with Leah and Tabitha, and so that is going to be available very, very shortly. And so that whole series, if you haven't caught it yet, Leah is our video editor. She edits a majority of our classes here for the school, and she also wanted to learn how to design her own sweater. And so what she did was she worked with Tabitha. Tabitha lives in Tennessee. Leah lives here in Vancouver. And they were having conversations remotely, sort of at a distance. And Tabitha walked her through the process for how to design her own sweater. And so you will see that Leah's finished her sweater. It's great. It's great. So very, very excited to see the conclusion of that series. Yeah, very, very excited about that. And then last year, Debbie Held came here to the studio to film a number of classes, and we did already put out the class with her about the supported spindles, and the next class with her is about spinning with e-spinners is coming out, and that's going to come out in March. And so these are the things that are coming out over the next 5 months. There's going to be 9 classes. So specifically talking about the double weave on 4 shafts class, there are 2, sort of 3 projects in that course. One of them is a sampler that could also become a bread bag or a dish towel. And for that, I was using 1 cone of each color of the Just Duet yarn. For the blanket project, it's actually 4 colors of BFL and Silk Fine, and it's 2 skeins of each for a total of 8 skeins total. So that's what I used for my particular project. Now on we're gonna do like a pre-course launch meeting where we're gonna talk about the materials. And so for that day, I scheduled it for Wednesday, November 16th, 10 o'clock, and we're gonna do it as a Zoom meeting. The Zoom link is in the calendar in the community area of the website. But on that call, basically I want to share with you the weaving calculator that I used in order to make the calculations for the blanket and for the sampler project. I spent a lot of time working on the calculations because trying to minimize the cost of the project for everyone, it has to be something that's worth making double wide. So we're not going to make small things double wide. That doesn't make any sense. But we're going to make like a big thing double wide, but at the same time trying not to make it too expensive. So the point of using the weaving calculator, and the reason why I want to show it to you, is so that way you can use the weaving calculator and plug in your own information, plug in your own material so that you can decide what you want to make. This is again teaching you how to take the tools to customize things for your particular loom, for your particular project. You don't have to make what I made. You can use the technique to make what you want to make. So that's what that weaving meeting is going to be about. And then we'll have a follow-up meeting in January, and we can sort of meet and share progress. You can tell me about how good your fold is and how wonderful your double width project is. You can come and tell me about how many challenges you had with weaving it, and we can talk about all of that stuff in the January meeting. So that's kind of what the plan is for the double weave class. Um, And then finally, I want to share with you guys what actually has been happening inside the studio. We recently actually had Laura Fry come back and join us at the beginning of October. And so she came to film 2 classes with us that are going to come out next year. And so one of them, you can see her seated at the Mira loom with the sectional beam. And she's brought with her her giant spool rack, and here's a tension box here. And so she's basically showing us absolutely step by step how to use a sectional warp beam, how to warp your loom sectionally, why you might want to do that. It's very fun. It's very cool. It's very specific. It's designed for helping you wind very wide warps by yourself or winding very long warps. And so doing this in a very, very efficient way, as always with Laura. So that was a really, really great thing to be able to work on with her. And then she also came and she did a couple of lace weaves with us. So we sat at the Baby Wolf loom and we learned about weaving Bronson lace, spot Bronson. We learned about Swedish lace and we learned about Huck. And so out of that information, we also want to do a number of projects. So we're going to design a couple of projects using those lace weave structures. So that's going to be coming next year as well. So excited about that. Laura's also going to have a lecture about lace as well, I believe. So we'll do lace. So in any case, we are getting close to the hour. So we have our final slide, which is thank you and giveaway. So this is the giveaway. We are doing a $25 gift card for one randomly selected winner of the people who fill in the survey. so, so here is the survey link for this month. It is, you go to surveymonkey.com/r/5mw32ks. Okay, so that is the link. Maybe someone can post that in the chat. That would be really, really helpful so that everybody will have that link. But that is going to be the link for our giveaway this month. And basically at the end of every live office hours, we do this little survey just to ask you what your experience was like of this live office hours, if it was helpful to you, if you learned anything new, if you learned something that you're going to put into practice. So all of that kind of thing. I'm really thankful for all of you being here today to listen to this. I feel like this is very important information. This is more than I can write in a big blog post to let you know. So I'm glad that you're here to watch it today. And then I have one thank you slide. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being a part of the school. Thank you for joining the community. Thank you for coming. And when you come, what you do is you share your encouragement, you share your inspiration, you share your light with everyone. When you share the things that you've worked on or talk about it in the community or come to a meeting or any way that you participate, I don't think that you realize that you inspire other people. The things that you've brought and shared with other people, they inspire other people. Like I was talking with Greta the other day, it's like when you come and people show you the things that they've made, it triggers in your mind, oh, that's cool. Oh, I might like to do that too. And I don't think that you realize that when you post something, that when you post a photo, something as simple as just posting a photo can actually inspire someone to go down their own rabbit hole to create amazing things as well. So I just wanted to thank you for doing that and for coming into the school, for coming and being a part of the community and coming and sharing so generously your inspirations with everyone else, because I feel like it really actually does make a difference to everyone. So thank you so much. I'm going to put this back on the previous slide. Oh, thank you. And then Greta put the slide. Okay, so Greta put the link in the comments in the chat there. So if you need to access that, that is there for you. So again, thank you everybody for being here today. Thank you for listening to this live office hours. I will see you guys in the next one. The next one is not going to be the last Thursday of November. It has been rescheduled to the first Thursday of December just because I'm going to be out of town at the end of November. I'm not going to be here to do this. So the next meeting that we will have will be December 1st, Thursday, December 1st. I will see you guys here again, same time, same place. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye, everybody.